Hello, everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann, and this is the award-winning fan show. How you doing out there? It is good to be back, and it's good to be doing a special, which is exactly what this episode is. Seems like kind of an annual special now. We did these last year. Started a bit earlier, but given all the chaos and everything going on with the move to Sioux Falls and whatnot, we're doing these a little later, but we're still going to do them, and that is for the College Gridiron Showcase. We are 24 short days away, and joining me on the episode right now is the man, the myth, the legend, the founder, co-founder of College Gridiron Showcase, Jose Jefferson. Mr. Jefferson, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I am exhausted, but doing great.
Yeah, I think that's going around. I know you're a new South Dakotan now, so that's my old stomping ground. So you'll love the winter.
I'm learning that very quickly right now. It was a bit chilly today. I think it was all of 10 degrees. So
yeah, welcome to the Midwest.
Hey, you and I are in the same time zone, though. How about that?
I know. It's nice to do these interviews at the same time, as opposed to when we're catching each other coming or going. So
yeah, no addition or subtraction needed in trying to figure out what time zone we're in. We're on the same clock right now. And awesome. As I mentioned, 24 days away, and it seemed like, last year when you and I had the conversation on the first episode, you were talking about how last year it seemed like the hype was it would be the best College Gridiron Showcase yet, and I went there, and I was in awe. I was really impressed. I mean, I already had sort of a bar internally set for myself of what this event would be, and I get there, and just, if I could, for a moment, praise the organization of the event, because there are so many events, whether it's a game, a Comic-Con, a concert, whatever, even a party you go to, and if the organization isn't there, sticking to a schedule, having things in order, having things ready to go, it really just puts a damper on the experience. It doesn't make things more or less fun, but you certainly feel like there's a presence of professionalism when there is organization, attention to detail, and a set schedule, and you stick to it. And you guys stuck to it. I mean, it was a well-run event. The days you had the free agent event, and then, of course, the showcase itself, and everything went great. Vince Papale was there to see his son, and you had scouts from 31 to 32 NFL teams, and you made a lot of young men's lives very special in those days, and a few of them went on to have great 2019s after that, because Brady Oliveira, he went and got drafted by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He got injured, unfortunately, but they are the Grey Cup champions this year. Kevin Thompson signed with the Sioux Falls Storm, and they also champions. So, again, congratulations. Heavy praise on the organization. How do you feel looking back at last year's?
It's just like any other year. It's like a season, or anything else. It's always going to be special in its own way. And last year was different because we're new to Fort Worth, and they welcomed us with open arms, and everything you saw. I mean, and I'm very flattered by your praise with being organized, and I'm always very critical of what I do, and so the things that you saw were great. I saw some areas of improvement, but I think we held it together pretty well, and and I guess, like I said, sometimes perception is reality, and as long as everybody was happy with the result and a good time was had by all, and everybody gets excited for it, that's all I can ask for. So I am very, very happy with what we did last year, and what we're about to do this year is huge in terms of just changes. And that's one thing about CGS and going on year 6 is not one year has ever been the same. Not because of the players, but because of what we add in things we do. So I'm just very, very happy with the innovations that we continue to do and the things that we do to kind of separate us from everybody else.
And, we're going to talk about this year's, obviously, because it's the countdown to the 2020 CGS. But I did want to touch on a few more things from last year. Obviously, the goal for you as a co-founder and as someone who it's really more about the content of the event than the actual, like production or, the event itself. Are you helping develop young talent? Are you helping them put their best foot forward, really everything forward? Because outside the showcase, they're having one-on-one interviews with NFL scouts that could make or break their future in the NFL. And these are already guys that are considered longer shots, like maybe not the longest shots, but longer shots. And that's why they're doing the showcase. So each year, the goal is probably to be better than the last. So that being said, do you feel that last year was at least, better than previous years, even if it didn't live up to necessarily your own expectations? Because clearly there will always be room for improvement.
I thought it did. I definitely thought we took a huge step forward in terms of what we do. And to go down there and to perform how we did and being in Fort Worth for the first time, I was very, very excited about the prospects of the future. But no, I like I said, a good time was had by all. The perception and the presentation that we gave was impressive, and I'm always going to strive for more. And that's me. And I need to sit back and smell the roses sometimes, and enjoy the fruits of the labor. But I guess that's just an internal thing with me that I don't ever want to sit back and trust and trust that everything is okay. It's like the old football adage: you're not as bad as you think you are, and you're not as good as you think you are, and you just kind of got to stay on that middle level. And so I'm glad people enjoy it. I'm glad people are very complimentary of it, and that makes me feel good. But that also makes me want to work harder to make sure that we continue to be better than the year before, which obviously between adding the downtown convention center, adding the Omni, adding the third group and fourth group per se, it was amazing. So, now it's just trying to, basically see if lightning can strike twice, or maybe lightning can strike in a different place or a better place. That's probably the goal.
Yeah, I think that's a great goal to have. And like I said, the organization of everything was so well done last year. But for you, whether it's something that happens immediately after the conclusion of the event, maybe you're on, the drive back home or checking out of the hotel, packing things up, or maybe it's later down the road, a few months even, when you see a guy like Brady Oliveira get called for the CFL draft, or you see a guy like Jody Fortson Jr. Get picked up by the Chiefs and go to their training camp. What is the moment for you that you kind of sit back and nod and be like, yep, this year was a success?
Wow. There's a lot of great stories. I mean, I think the biggest story is Gunnar Ozlowski, with the Patriots, who basically, when it all started in our small group, and then went to our second group, and ended up going to a camp, and then ended up making a 53, which was definitely a shocker to us all. But I guess the moment that I feel the euphoria of it being good is when I get the phone calls or when I get the text just saying thank you, from players or from scouts. And those come pretty rapidly when guys are signed. I mean, it's not like they get signed, they go through training camp and then it comes. No, it's pretty instant. I imagine probably almost after the ink is dry on their contracts, we get a text.
Wow.
And it is. And it's an amazing thing to be around, because, the phone, it's buzzing, and, it's quiet, then buzz, and you get these kids that are saying thank you. And the funny thing about it is I tell them all the same thing. All I did was just put them on a platform. I didn't, I don't make them run any faster. We don't do anything else like that outside of just give them a platform or an opportunity to show them who they are. And but it is pretty gratifying when you see guys on the field, and sometimes it's frustrating, when we're watching, past players or even current players, and CGS doesn't get mentioned, and that's a selfish thing because, that's scouting though, that's recruiting, and there's several hundred scouts that write up and scout players year in and year out that you never hear about. It's all about the team, and that's the mentality that I've taken with it, that it's not me, that it's not any single person, it's the entity in the company that gives these kids the opportunity. And I'm just fortunate enough to be one of the guys in front, and it is gratifying. Scouts calling, saying thank you, or agents or moms or the players themselves. So, I don't make a lot of money doing CGS. I mean, I'm still a thousandaire by all means, and still working a job day to day. But I tell you what, those thank yous and the well wishes, those are priceless to me. They really are.
It's funny you say that you still have a day job and everything like that, and once the event's over, you still go back to the grind. And I'm not saying that's funny, like, haha, it sucks to be you. I mean, it's funny you say that because it's interesting to see how much will change as far as your own perspective on things, especially life. So I was thinking about it the other day as we were packing up our apartment in Spokane, getting ready for this move. And I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, thanks for the inspiration, seeing what you do and what you've gone through and sticking to it and what you've accomplished has really motivated me to kind of, pursue my dreams as well, which it's never what I expected. It's never what I set out to do, is inspire people. It's almost like I feel like I need to apologize for accidentally doing that. But, when you're 17, 18 and they say, what would you do if you ever won the lotto? And you're just like, oh, I'm going to go and buy a beach house somewhere and, maybe something nice for my parents and just, live the good life and travel everywhere. And of course that money's going to run out pretty quick if you do it that way. But you're not thinking about that at 17, 18. You're just thinking about all the things you can buy that you want right now that money can definitely help facilitate. But now, at 33, I'm thinking, if I won the lotto, I'm just going to reinvest in what I'm passionate about. Like I like what I do. I don't want to stop doing that just because the income has suddenly changed overnight. So to hear you talk about how the showcase is great, the thank yous are awesome, but once it's over, you go back to the grind. I think that's very admirable for you because your focus hasn't really changed. You're a person of the people, and because you're so relatable, I think that's why a lot of these kids, when they show up to CGS, end up liking you, and then of course saying thank you once their lives possibly change forever.
Well, that's the plan. I mean, I've always prided myself on being approachable. And, I talked to the kids in the beginning of CGS and I laughed because I said, this will probably be the last time you'll talk to me until the end of it when we say goodbye, because nobody there is there to see me, not a soul, they're not, unless there's something wrong, then they're there to see me. But, I don't know. I get asked quite a bit, what's the end game with this? What's the next step? And I don't know. I talk at length with a lot of people, not so much, I should say, in the business. I mean, they don't do the event or the bowl business, but they're in football. And I don't know. I really don't know what the next thing is. And I imagine I'll continue to keep doing CGS as long as I continue to feel that I'm contributing. And I say this a lot, and I hope it resonates, that I'm just trying to be the guy that I didn't have, or that person that I didn't have when I was these kids' age. And I didn't have a showcase. I didn't have a platform. and sometimes it's all we need is somebody just to give you the boost. And and I'm still in that same boat. Maybe somebody will give me a boost. I mean, I'm just being serious. I mean, I'm not. My life is far from over, or my and my goals and things are still out there. But we all need that person, regardless of how many millions you have or how many millions you don't have. So I'm excited for the kids. I really am. I'm excited for the people who are involved, because it's a platform for everybody involved, and we got quite a few people hired to other jobs again this year, which is great. I mean, I think it's outstanding that people come down, with our staff, and I don't have a big budget, and they come down because they believe in what we're doing. I let them know that they need to use this as a networking opportunity, and most of them, I would say about 80% of them, do that. And the 20% that may or may not are either happy at what they're doing outside of CGS, or are unsure of what they really want to do, so they're just kind of soaking it all in. But no, like I said, the day job thing is real. I mean, just because I stopped working doesn't mean the bills stop coming. I wish that was the case, but no, it's humbling to do what we do, and I get 15 hours on a drive home to kind of decompress, and then next thing you know, I get a weekend, and then I'm back on the job, and it's a reality check, and I think I suggest anybody in this world kind of checks their reality, and it is.
Sure.
I mean, so and then I go right into Sioux Falls things, and it was fun last year. It was a very, very different role for me, with Curtis Riggs, who is a dear friend, and has become a dear friend, I should say. We've known each other for going on 20 years now. Wow. And started out as frenemies, and then and became comrades or friends in the sport, to where now we've become closer friends. And after last year, I tell you, there was a lot of pressure last year to join and be successful, because they were successful so much, and I did not want to be the reason why the Storm was not successful. So no, and he's very much a supporter of CGS as well. He's come down for the last 3 years, and it's a great time for us to talk, and it's a great opportunity for look at players, and he respects what we do, and hopefully, like I said, that's one of those things to where you don't know who you're going to meet, and who might be able to give you a boost, or who might be able to contribute to what you're doing. So, like I said, the reality is the grind, but CGS is I get to be nobody but a football event organizer, owner, operator, co-founder for about 6-7 days. So I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you've done is great. And so now let's talk about, instead of what you've done, what you're about to do. And of course, with each year comes things that you wish you wouldn't have done, wish you would have done. So what can we look forward to with the 2020, the big number 6th year for the CGS, College Gridiron Showcase? Maybe things you didn't do last year that you thought of, that you wanted to, that you are, or just new things in general.
Well, we'll continue to have 4 groups, the Wranglers, the Desperados, the Marshals, and the Regulators. And I thought that was very good. The one thing that we'll continue not to do, or I should say we didn't do last year, and we'll continue, actually we did do it, but the free agent event, I really enjoy the free agents, and I want to help as much as I can. However, with the XFL, and I just feel that they have the opportunities to do those things a lot better, and guys continue to ask me every year, because I do feel we're one of the only events that actually has scouts at it. Yep. That have the scouts there to actually evaluate the players on the free agent level. But this year, I just, like I said, it's too much going on. And it was just something that like I said, I love the indoor players. I love the free agents, but I just feel I can do some better good for them in a different place. But we'll continue to have those 4 groups. We'll have a contingent, I should say, a contingent of international players besides the Canadian players that we already have. We will have some players from Denmark. We will have some players from Austria. And we will have our first ever Japanese player.
Oh, wow.
And he is signed, sealed, delivered, and ready to come. He's a big lineman. He's 6'6", 305 pounds.
Wow.
And was part of the NFL international program and comes highly recommended. And he will be here. I think that's very exciting. And we're doing some different things to welcome him and his coach, who is coming with them, to the United States and welcome him to CGS. So that's very exciting. We will have a keynote speaker by the name of Brenda Tracy, who, if anybody's listening, which I hope you are, and I know you are, needs to research Brenda Tracy. And she is a huge advocate, a survivor of sexual violence. And she is going to speak to the guys because it's a hot button topic right now. It should have been a hot button topic for probably since it's been an issue. But now that it's come to light, she's been brave enough to come out and tell her story. And she's backed by a lot of people who support that. And we're a group that does. And I think that's going to be a huge wake-up call for the guys. Not as so much a finger pointing or, you're a bad person, as much as making people aware of it, that, it exists. There are some fallouts with it, and people do survive it, but not without, some scars. And it's something that we definitely want to be aware of and have these guys know that it doesn't have anything to do with not only the game, but life. So that's a pretty big deal. Obviously, we're going to do our first media day, which you and Emery Hunt of the Football Game Plan it's going to host and run, which I'm excited about because we've never really had a media day per se. So that's kind of new. And I'm not a media guy, so that's why we have you experts do that.
I can tell you it's going to be the best part of the showcase right now.
Probably will. And I'm looking forward to that as well. But it's going to be a very, very fun event. I mean, we're trying not to reinvent the wheel with it, but there are some new things. And we encourage anybody who calls himself a football fan to come down, and we would be more than hospitable and welcoming to anybody who wants to be there.
Absolutely. And one quick question I had was, you mentioned the first ever Japanese player. So how does an event like this work for them? Is he a college senior then, and this is just his opportunity on American soil, or is this kind of a free agent workout for him?
Well, he was part of the NFL International Combine, and that took place in October of this year.
Okay.
And the NFL puts a list together of players, and some they bring over, some they don't. And he was on their radar. And one of our coaches at CGS, his name's Fred Armstrong, he works internationally, so he was one contact. And then a coach that I knew that I did not know was in Japan reached out to me and talked to me about this individual. And so the dialogue, started, and the planets aligned for him to come over, and I, like I said, it's something, once again, that is groundbreaking for events like this. I mean, you don't ever hear the Senior Bowl do anything like this. In fact, I don't even think they might take one Canadian player, but he's usually from an FBS school, so like he could be from Boston College, but he's a Canadian kid. a lot of events will do that, but we're still the only ones that'll take a kid out of a Canadian college and put them in the event. And now we're opening it up to, now we have a kid who's from Denmark that plays at Michigan State. He's a huge lineman, but we're also going to get a few Austrian kids that are, obviously not playing here that'll come play. And with the Japanese player, it's groundbreaking because that's the direction the NFL wants to go, is to be able to have exposure overseas. I mean, we're definitely, football's turned into America's sport, and now it needs to be global because those kids don't grow up playing football like we did. They don't go out in the street and play football. And if there's a possibility for them to have exposure with NFL teams, their spots as international players don't count against NFL rosters. So that's why it's huge.
Oh, that's good. So we are doing the first of several mini episodes previewing and counting down the showcase. So I know that you have some special guests in mind and lined up. Who can we look forward to hearing from as we continue the countdown to CGS?
Well, one of our mainstays and one of our best partners that we have is Ed Terrace, who is the Vice President of Sales for KT Tape, who is not only just a great partner with CGS, but has turned into a great friend. And I know it's medical stuff. It's kinesiology tape, therapeutic tape. But I'm telling you, I'm a believer in the product, number one, and most importantly, I'm a believer in Ed, and he's a believer in what we do. So he'll be one guest. One guest I'm wanting to get on as well as Willie Pyle, who's one of our coaches that's been around CGS from day one. He's a former Cowboy NFL player that lives there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, runs a training facility called FAST. And obviously he can do the representation of his company a lot better than me, but Willie's a great guy. He's very much about the kids, very much about the forward progression of kids, and he does it through training and how he does his lifestyle that wraps around the training that's appealing not only to the kids but to myself and CGS. We're looking at, like I said, there's a few other people who I might bring on. One of them might be Kendall Goldberg, who is in charge of training for Baylor Scott and White, who's our official training partner, and she was also the head trainer for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, which is awesome. So I imagine there's probably a lot of stories that she has, and maybe a few of the coaches and some scouts that come on, and I just want other people to give their perspective of CGS, our former, or people that have been a part of the event, of former event or past events, and then some new people who are looking forward to events. One guest that I may want on that you might even be interested in is a guy by the name of Carlton Dixon, and he owns a company called Reveal Suits. And if you look at Reveal Suits, the website, they do the special linings inside the coat. So they can do, since you're a 49ers fan, and now with Sioux Falls, he can do a 49ers lining. He can do a Sioux Falls lining.
I do love suits.
And he's the guy. And I know he's officially licensed, the officially licensed suit of Conference USA. So I think he's designing suits for not only their bowl teams, but their commissioner and their front offices and things of that nature. So he's another guest that I'll probably try to get on. And then potentially some former players from CGS that we'll try to get on. And Kevin Thompson, who I love. And, obviously I got to see a lot of him this year with Sioux Falls. And maybe we'll call some other guys up, and they can share their experiences from CGS if they're currently playing, their experiences now. But I'm not planning on dominating these conversations because I hope people know me now, and my story hasn't changed in the last 6 years. So it's probably it's probably it's probably better suited to get some other different perspectives on here. The other thing, backing up to your question on new things, uh, Russ Olson and his production company will be shooting the documentary of CGS. So there will be a ton of cameras around, and they're actually going to shoot it like an episode. So we will definitely have some access to that as well. So that's one thing. They shot footage last year, but not like an episode. Just wanted to get some excerpts. But this year they'll do a ton of interviews, a lot of cameras that are following people around. I'm going to be doing stuff while I'm driving down. Some logs before I get to CGS while I'm at CGS. So that's very exciting, and I don't know where that's going to go. I know there's some talk with Netflix and Hulu, HBO. Those guys are knee deep in that stuff. I'm just the guy with the content. So much better and smarter guys are in charge of that. I just try to put on a decent show and try to raise some ratings.
Well, I certainly look forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And the F.A.N show did a pretty good video package for CGS last year, too. So people can check that out on the YouTube channel for the F.A.N show. And it was shared by CGS social media also. But Jose, looking forward to another great event, each one better than the last. And I think you mean that when you say that, and I'm certainly looking forward to everything new that you're bringing and talking with guys like Ed Terrace, who really knows his tapes. So that'll be another informative conversation. But other than that, we're less than a month away. We're going to have some great content and conversations leading up to the event. And then, of course, the event, all bets are off. We're going to be going cameras, content, interviews, and everything that we can get out of this event to make sure that people are well aware of it and that players know that it is another chance for them to get their names out there.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And we appreciate all the work you do for us. And I'm just very thankful for anybody, that wants to be a part of it, that contributes. And you're definitely a huge contributor to what we do, and have put us on a different level with social media, with podcasts, because those are things that, for a football guy, that's just one of the things I don't specialize in. So to be able to have this platform, this is a perfect example of giving somebody a platform that is grateful and very grateful for what it is you do. I'm a fan of what you do. Obviously, this year I'll get to work with you not only at CGS but with Sioux Falls, which it's always great when you're surrounded by good people, especially people that are passionate about not only what you do but what they do as well. So I can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you so much for that. And, you say that now, but then once you actually do work with me, on a regular basis, like with the Storm, your tune might change. But we're going to have a good season, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you can kick off a ball and have guys on the field, it's a good season. And you get the people around it that make it even better. So, like I said, between CGS, I got 24 days. I just want to get through this, and then I'll take a breather and, be fast forward and go from there. But I am excited. I sound a little exhausted, so I apologize if anybody thinks I'm down. I'm not. It's just it's busy, and I like it. And as I was told, if I can't complain about having, a full plate if my goal is to eat.
Yep.
So, no, loving every minute of it. Just need to rest a little more. But I'll sleep. I'll sleep on the night of November or January 8th, and probably sleep until about 8 o'clock instead of my normal 5. So I'll be good.
There you go. Well, he is the co-founder of College Gridiron Showcase and one of the scouts for the Sioux Falls Storm. Jose Jefferson, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at the event.
No problem. Thank you very much.